Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I will not only be talking about how I became more productive in my day-to-day life, but also how I learned to love my work and how this ability to do these things altered and changed throughout my GCSEs, my A-levels, my bachelor's degree, and also now preparing for my master's degree. I think, as well as me, the idea for what work is has changed for everyone, like society, over the past few decades. Especially around the Industrial Revolution, work for people used to be very much their physical activity, their labour, whether it was working on farms, working in factories. Back then, as I said, it was essentially people's form of exercise. However, as more people transitioned into the tertiary sector in offices, exercise became the form of going to the gym, which for many people, especially elderly people, that concept was quite strange. Nowadays, there seems to be a trend towards automation in which a lot of creative jobs and time in making creative content is freed up, such as my ability to make this very YouTube video. This trend could mean that in a decade or two, many more people are doing jobs that they can genuinely say feels like play to them, not work, and that genuinely give them purpose. With work, I like to think there is a spectrum between work and play, where work doesn't have to be this thing that drains you and makes you horrendously stressed and it isn't good for your health. And then on the other end of the spectrum, then something doesn't necessarily have to be the best thing in the world and something you always enjoy, because on days when you don't enjoy it, you kind of feel bad. Your work can kind of change, or your job can change on the spectrum between work and play. It's a spectrum, there's not one or the other, I believe anyway. However, I'm not ignorant. I do understand that in a lot of developing countries, people work just to survive and they can't really choose a creative job on the internet and stuff like that. So I understand a lot of the content what I'm talking about is more relevant to maybe more Western or more developed countries. However, if you're in a country like the United Kingdom, for example, if you have a mobile phone, which most people do, and you have access to the internet, then you can make a job creating content online. It might be difficult, it might take a long time, but it's possible. And it's something that I am reminding myself with doing this YouTube channel. So moving forward, how has this changed for me? I think it makes sense to start this video in chronological order, with starting with my GCSEs. When I was 14 or 15 years old doing my GCSEs, my work ethic was just embarrassing. Like, I would do half an hour to an hour flashcards, if that, and I'd be like, all right, that's me done for today. Then I would go off and play video games, and shock, I ended up failing most of my GCSEs. Then A-levels came round. I was between 16 and 17 years old, and because I didn't do all of my GCSEs, I was like, you know what, I understand A-levels are a lot harder now, I need to crank up the effort and actually try this time. But again, on results day, I got a D in history and an E in biology. The main reason behind this was because I put a lot of time in working, considerably more time than I did in my GCSEs, but I didn't work smart. I spent ages revising topics that I already knew, always going back to the chapter 1 of the books, and I never tested myself or did active recall or did loads of things that could have helped me in my work. And I think part of this is because we're not really taught how to study, and it's only really people like Thomas Frank and Matt Diavella on YouTube who have actually educated us globally to actually be able to study and get the best results out of our exams, essays, etc. Even though I did horrendously my A-levels, I still got into university because I did an extended triple BTEC and I got really good grades on that, so I had enough UCAS points to go into a good university. So between the ages of 18-ish to 21, I studied sport and exercise science at the University of Worcester. Now, because I absolutely failed with my GCSEs and A-levels, by this point, I was a man possessed. Like, I was so motivated to work to like an unhealthy degree. Despite this though, I learned so many tips for improving my ability to work and study and exam results. And I believe every exam I did, I got a first, which is crazy considering I failed almost all my GCSEs and got horrendous A-level results. These results were partly down to like looking at active recall, spatial repetition, or I mean, it was mainly down to stuff like that. But it was also due to, I think, shorter feedback loops. What I mean by this is that when you're revising for your A levels, especially in my case, because my AS and A2 exams were both in year 13, it's like when you're revising, the exam is ages away in the future. So you're like, oh, okay, I'll put revision off, I won't do it. And then eventually the exam comes around and you're like, holy, like this, I'm gonna fail, and you start stressing. But with university, you've constantly got assignments. Like you have a few assignments at least every few months or every month. And so there's more urgency with doing work, or at least there was for me. And there was more times that I got feedback for my work. So my quality of work improved. Like in first year, my average grade was like a solid 2-1. But in third year, I got like an A+ or the equivalent to like 80% on some of my modules because I was improving, I was applying all these studying techniques, and I got better with every single assignment, even though the years were getting harder and the lecturers asked more of us as students. After 3 years of just blood, sweat and tears, you know, I got a first, and whilst I was satisfied and I had a bit of a squeal when I got the confirmation of the first, or at least when I got to the point when I calculated what grade I would get based on the amount of credits I got from the modules, whatever. Whilst I felt happy, part of me was also kind of like, you know what, I bloody deserve this. I put so much effort into this. Me getting a first though was really good for my mental health as well, because I've really struggled with self-esteem and confidence growing up. It was one of the first things in my life that I was like, you know what, I'm not a dummy. I can actually do something. If I apply myself, I can actually achieve something. So as I've mentioned in other videos, I talk a lot about how I was going to strength and conditioning, and I really was. I managed to get in to Loughborough's master's degree in strength and conditioning, and I got a place and everything. And with COVID, it gave me a lot of time to reflect. And because of my own personal reasons, I was like, you know what, I still want to do strength and conditioning, but I want a gap year. So then I managed to defer my year to study the next year for strength and conditioning, and then that was the plan. But then this reflection helped me with a lot of things, such as learning how to exercise for healthier reasons, which I've done a video on previously, I'll link it somewhere, but also thinking about what I want to do in my life. What is the purpose for me? You know, what are my skills? What gives me joy? Like what do I derive joy from? And when I thought about all these different things, I was like, you know what, I actually want to do medicine or something related to medicine. And I thought about med school, and for a variety of reasons, such as the fact that I didn't want to apply for med school at the age of like 22, I wanted to go into physiotherapy. So I applied to like 5 universities. I got rejected from all of them other than Lincoln, which was my last choice, but it was like chronologically the last uni that responded to me. So I was very much like, is every uni gonna reject me here? And that's partly because I changed my mind last minute and I didn't really have any kind of placement experience when I actually applied. But once the University of Lincoln accepted me for physiotherapy, I accepted it like that, and I was, oh man, like I'm starting my master's degree in a few months, and I passed the interview. My application I think was good. I had a lot of help on it from friends and family, and I'm so happy that I'm not saying I wouldn't have been happy with strength and conditioning. I just think physiotherapy was a better fit for me. And for anyone watching this video, don't always be in the trenches. Actually stick your head out of the trenches, look around and think to yourself, what do I want to do? What opportunities are out there for me? Because if your head is down the trenches and you don't think about what's out there, you might miss some really good opportunities, or you might be doing something that you don't enjoy when you could be doing something that you derive more purpose and fulfillment from. At the end of the day, you should do stuff that you enjoy, not anything that your parents tell you to do, not what your friends tell you to do, what you want to do. With my childhood, I grew up with my parents being very authoritarian, I guess you could say. And once I kind of like cut this tether, so to speak, and I became an adult and I was actually, independent, and I thought for myself, not what I was told to do, it was absolutely liberating. And this mental shift that I'm gonna do what's best for me and my mental health was one of the most liberating shifts that I've had in my mental state throughout my whole life. And I implore other people to do the same for them as well. Nowadays, if someone tells me what to do, I don't do it straight away just to please them, just, not to be a pushover. I think to myself, what are this person's intentions? What do they want from me? What they're asking me to do, does that actually benefit them for the right reasons? Is it something that it would be good to do? But I just ask why. I don't just jump at the opportunity to do what other people say. And this is just one of the things that you learn as you get older. It's amazing to help people and to want to be able to benefit them in their situation. But if you're too nice, people will take advantage of you. And I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, and this is very metaphysical, it's very abstract, but just this reflection that I had really solidified my awareness of what my purpose is and what I want to do. Regardless of your situation, I really hope that you find a job that you enjoy, that gives you purpose, that improves your quality of life, and that it's a career that you're proud of at the end of the day. And I hope this video has been helpful for you. If you want to know about how I started exercising for more healthy reasons, then check out this video up here. Otherwise, I hope you have a lovely day. Thanks for watching. Adios, amigos.